Where do you feel the most safe? Is it something that you even think about? For most people, probably not, but that's not the case for everyone. Today's subject is going to be a little bit pulling at the heartstrings a little bit because we're going to be talking about some sensitive things. But please hang with us because you're in for another great episode of the good, bad, and ugly of business. And on this podcast, we talk to all sorts of successful people because we want to learn what's that made them so successful. Because while a smart person can learn from their own mistakes, a genius can learn from the mistakes of others. So we bring in these special guests to learn from them so that we can either avoid the mistakes they've made or fail faster through them, or so we can learn something that we didn't know we didn't know. My guest today has an incredible passion for protecting children and protecting women and men from places where they don't feel safe so that we can all have that inner safe place that we can go to. She is the founder of something called OssoSafe and a certification that you can get for properties. So Sabrina Osso, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Catryn. Thank you so much. This is so great.
Well, and I love the name OssoSafe. Like how beautiful your name lent itself to creating this.
Yes, yes. It took a while. Uh, I went through four name changes, and then a business advisor asked me some pretty heavy duty questions, and I came up with Oh So Safe, and it has stuck. And I've gotten some very good. We've gotten such great response. So thank you for echoing that.
Well, I almost introduced you as Sabrina OssoSafe because
Oh,
OssoSafe just rolled off the tongue so easily.
right, right. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's very good.
That's what you want in a name, right? You want it to stick. But
Right.
your whole message is about helping people to feel safe in their homes. That's something that so many people probably take for granted. But for those that that's not the case, can you please tell us a little bit more about OssoSafe and who it serves and what it does?
Sure. I'm comfortable enough to say that I am a survivor of violence. My father beat my mother on a regular basis. My mother would beat me. So I know firsthand how traumatic living in that type of environment is. And I'm a dancer. I started late because in my house, I couldn't think about dance. I couldn't even say the word dance. I couldn't even entertain anything having to do with dance. I had to put it on the back burner. So it wasn't until I moved out that I pursued dance. So I was 21, and luckily I live in close proximity to the city, New York. So I was taking 12 classes a week, auditioning, getting gigs, uh, heavy duty immersed in the dance world. And also I love the club scene. When I moved out, I was so free. I felt so free, and I loved the club scene, the techno, the DJs, the whole club scene. And in New York, it was very big at that time. So I was dancing. I was catching up on lost time, because when
Mm.
you live in that type of environment, time is stolen from you. You can't think about what it is that you want to do if you're trying to save mom from dad. There's verbal, physical, sexual abuse going on, violence, abuse, chaos, dysfunction, police coming to the residence. You can't, there's no way. You're fighting a war in your own house. So that was my childhood into young adulthood. So I wrote and choreographed a one-woman show called Home Sweet Home question mark.
Mm.
I play different women being abused. She goes to her good place. That's where the dancing comes in. But then she's pulled back into the terror of violence. The show ends really strong, really empowering. And I did a lot of research for the show, and Catryn, I couldn't believe the statistics that I was finding. I could not believe how common this was. So I said to myself, how could I make a difference? How could I help people? So that's how OssoSafe was born, from this one woman show.
Wow.
Um, and I even taught dance. So I performed the show with my students at the time, which, looking back, that was really great. The studio owner allowed me to do that at the time. And I want to point out, we're not a charity, we're not a nonprofit, because we believe at OssoSafe, in order to truly resolve this enormous problem of violence in the home and abuse, chaos, dysfunction in the home, people have to pay for it. It needs to be, excuse me, a paid service, a paid, a paid service. So with bona fide products that people pay for, so that way it actually gets resolved. Children included, children being the ones who benefit the most from this service and the products, I should say. So that's how OssoSafe was born.
You mentioned that in the research for your show, your one woman show, that the statistics were really surprising. Can you share some of those statistics with us?
Yes, and I'm so glad you asked. 1 out of 3 women will be beaten or raped in her lifetime. 1 out of 5 adolescent girls is abused by her boyfriend. 1 out of 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship. 1 out of 7 men is abused. 15 million children witness violence in their own homes each and every year. That's in the US,
Mm.
and just the ones that we know about. About 325,000 pregnant women go into the emergency room, not for pregnant related issues, but for abuse related injuries. 5 children a day are killed in the US alone, murdered at the hands of abusive parents, usually, excuse me, under the watch of a child protective service agency.
Oh gosh, it makes my
80%.
skin crawl.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. So, and I say these statistics, at least some of them, in my TEDx talk, and I want to make it clear to your listeners that it's not to discourage, it's not to say that it's hopeless. With my company, we are being very positive in the solution. We're providing the solution and resolution. So this is not to scare anyone. But it's to make everybody open their eyes that if you're not safe at home, where are you safe?
right.
So the charities are out there, the nonprofits are out there. I just told you the statistics with those charities and nonprofits targeting or trying to solve the problem of domestic violence. And we don't even like to call it domestic violence. We prefer to say home violence because it's more inclusive, and an abuser can be both, either male or female, so we like to say home violence. We are very hopeful, we're very positive that this will really become the new face of residency, the real estate industry, bridging OssoSafe with the real estate industry. So I'm sorry, sometimes I go off on a tangent, but those are some statistics that are beneficial to know.
No, it's very beneficial to know. And, I know that it used to be the statistic that it was 1 in 4 women would be sexually abused or beaten. So to hear that it's now 1 in 3 is alarming. And it might even be more than that. In the work that I do individually with clients, there will be cases where they will have had a sexual relationship with someone because they were afraid to say no. It wasn't that they were thinking, oh my gosh, I'm being raped. It was more of like, if I don't say yes, what worse thing will happen? So I feel like there's probably a lot of underreported in that situation. So it's a tricky thing for sure, and it leads to a lot of guilt and shame, which are very isolating emotions. It's things that people don't like to speak out about. So it's a very big mountain you've picked to climb.
Yes, yes, I realize that. I just know that uh, I've suffered tremendously because in jail. And I did. He hit me. I was 20. I believe I was 20. I still have the restraining order actually. And we were in court and I put him in jail. And I don't regret it. My father has passed. He has passed away in 2017. But I don't regret it. Not yesterday, not today, and not tomorrow. Um, it was the right thing to do. And it just sends a message to abusers. And I have to say, so many parents are abusive,
Mm,
unfortunately. There are parents, and I applaud them, I respect them because they are proof that it can be done. The norm needs to be, and we will see to it that this happens at OssoSafe, that every single home is OssoSafe certified because that's how it should be. That should be the norm, not when you put the key in your lock. You have to be scared and panicked, like what's going to happen today? What ugliness am I going to see? What are the police going to show up? Who's going to yell at who? That should not be the norm,
right.
especially for children. Children's lives should be, their complications should be, who's going to be my play date? What homework do I have to what homework I have to get done? Um, a sleepover. Wow, I'm really having difficulty with this subject. I have to stay after school. What college am I going to go to? Not, is my father going to attack me today or my mother?
Well, I'm really glad you brought up the sleepover part because, my kids are 12 and 10. So they're at the ages where sleepovers are starting. And there are, I'm in different mom groups on Facebook, and there'll inevitably be questions of, my child wants to have a sleepover, or they, just questions people have around that. So I can see a huge benefit in having the OssoSafe certification, which I want you to explain a little bit more. But to have that, to say, hey, there's this family, kids are friends, they seem like great people, but in order to have complete peace of sending my child to sleep over at this other house, to know that there's an OssoSafe certification behind it, that would give me so much peace of mind.
Thank you for saying that. We really appreciate that. Yes, it is a standard. We have every intention of setting this as a standard, respect. And we'll talk about this during the interview, but respect is the key ingredient in having a home OssoSafe. It's respect. That's what makes a home safe. Um, yes, and it lends itself to peace of mind, and that respect and positivity, empowerment, encouragement are all practiced. Um, yes, thank you for saying that. I like that. I've never heard that example. I've heard of other examples with like if you have a nanny watching your kid, or a pet owner where the a pet sitter is watching the pet.
Yeah.
Wow, I really like that it would be also safe certified, but sleepovers, that's another added benefit or an added uh yes, it gives you peace of mind, and just we're all on the same page feeling, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I recently started, I joined the choir at my church, and one of the things that's required is this safe haven certification. And it's, I don't know, it took me a couple of hours to go through these different videos of how to identify signs of when a child may be in a dangerous situation with an adult, and what to look for, and go through that. So is going through an OssoSafe certification similar to that, or are there some key differences?
You called it the safe haven What was it? I'm
I
sorry,
believe
Safe
it was
Haven.
called Safe Haven was the name of the training. It was through the Catholic
Yeah.
diocese.
I have to look that up. I've never heard of that. I know I've heard of shelters with that title, Safe Haven, or we have a few. Well, they're everywhere, but I have to look at that. For churches, I'll have to look at that and compare. But with us, it's in the home. It's for all types of homes, whether you live in a townhouse, a co-op, a condo, a single family home, a multi-family dwelling, a two-family home, a villa, a mansion, a mobile home, a dormitory, a senior community. I cover all the bases. It's a standard. So it's combining technology and education. So I'll have to look that up, but um, we don't take it for granted that everyone knows what constitutes safety in a home.
Hmm.
What what is that? Like what? Yeah, you have a baby. Okay, this is how you burp it. This is how you feed it. This is if in case, God forbid, there's choking, this is what you do. But what about, is that home safe? Are you going to practice safety, respect, mom, dad, or, whatever your home life is, whatever your home situation is, maybe it's boyfriend, girlfriend, maybe whatever your home life is, maybe grandma and grandpa live there, other children. Everybody needs to be OssoSafe certified, where respect is at the core, you're in your DNA, that's practiced. There's no pulling hair, there's no smacking, there's no kicking, there's no verbal abuse where you're calling your children labels and names, and there's no fear, there's no panic or chaos, or even if you're divorced, there's a way to be divorced
Sure.
respectfully, you know. So I'm sorry, did I go off on a tangent? Uh,
I'd
yeah,
really
I'm gonna
like
look that
to
up.
I'd really like to circle back to just what is the OssoSafe certification process? Like what does that look like for someone to become OssoSafe certified? What's the process?
Yes, we are looking to have this propagate over all types of residency, the residency that I just mentioned, all types. Um, and whether you rent, whether you own, whether you have a mortgage or not, it shouldn't make a difference. So right now we are focusing on the landlord tenant portion of the industry, the real estate industry, because that would be the path of least resistance. And we're saying, Mr. and Miss Landlord, hire us. We'll get your property OssoSafe certified. What does that mean? They purchase the OssoSafe Home Sweet Home package. It consists of a policy, a seminar, an app, and therapists assigned to the property. The policy, just to give a brief overview, the policy basically states, I, as a landlord, I promise to provide you a safe space for you to live. You, in turn, as my tenant, my resident, you promise to not act in any way, shape, or form abusively. Otherwise, you, the abuser only, gets immediately evicted from the premises. And we go into full knowledge knowing that that would be the consequences. So there's no surprise. That's all mapped out in the policy. And this is an addendum to existing leases. It's all trademarked and copywritten. The second component is a seminar, the OssoSafe Home Sweet Home Seminar. And it's an education for adults and children alike on facts, statistics, warning signs, definitions of abuse, the difference between abuse and discipline, what constitutes a good relationship, what are the warning signs of a bad relationship. Again, no surprises. So that way you're educated. Oh, I didn't know that pulling my partner's hair constitutes abuse. Now you know. The third component is an app. I hired a software company, and it's the OssoSafe app. Right now, it's being modified and updated. It is an app that will detect violent like movements and captures them in real time, issuing alerts to the landlord. So let's say a landlord has 10 units. Wow, I just got an alert. You just beat her up in my unit 2, and you just beat him up in my unit 10. This is not allowed in an OssoSafe certified property. You need to go because I have to maintain property reputation, mitigate liability. I have to make sure that the rest of my tenants are safe. So that's the app, the technology portion. The fourth and final component are therapists assigned to the property. You are required in an OssoSafe certified property to check in with your therapist once a month. Is everything okay? Do you feel like anything is looming? Well, Mr. and Miss Therapist, actually, our kid came home with bad grades. We don't know how to handle this. We're not going to beat him up or her up. We're not going to verbally disparage him or her, but we don't know how to handle this. So help us. All of these components working together constitutes an OssoSafe certified property. Our logo gets placed, it's behind me, outside of the property. So that way, any vehicle traffic, pedestrian traffic, they're looking for a place to live. Wow, I know what that logo means. That means it's OssoSafe certified, that there are, if and when violence happens, there are systems and mechanisms in place to diminish it, prevent it. I would rather raise my kids in an OssoSafe certified property versus one that isn't. And this is more, Catryn, on the preventative side
Sure.
versus waiting for an episode of violence to occur. Police come, bad news travels fast. You're in the elevator. Wow, did you hear what happened in Unit 2 and Unit 10? Yeah, I always hear them screaming and yelling. The kids are crying. All of that gets substantially diminished in an OssoSafe certified property. So we are spearheading this in the real estate industry to get people to think differently about their home. Why not make your property OssoSafe certified? And we are charging roughly $125 per unit, regardless of how many people are in the unit, because the policy is the same. The seminar is the same. The technology is the same. And the therapist, well, there's a therapist assigned for the residence, for the home, for the building. So that way you're more proactive. And this is all, like I said, on the preventative side. So $125, whether you're single or whether you're a family of 3, 4, 5 people. Oh, and also, I'm sorry, I need to state that children have a say on who they want to live with. If mom and dad are abusive, if they're beating the child, there's verbal abuse, they're being called horrible names, they are sexually being abused by maybe a boyfriend, a girlfriend, dad, mom, there's pornography going on. In an OssoSafe certified property, that is not going to happen. And if and when it does happen, it'll be eliminated immediately. Our children's book, I don't know if you could see, this is a staple in OssoSafe certified properties because we are empowering children to speak out and speak up if there is any abuse going on where mom and dad are abusing them, so they don't feel safe with either parent or step parent. And in the book, I say, I introduce this cheer, the OssoSafe Kids cheer. And it goes like this. I want to live where I am OssoSafe, and I am OssoSafe with an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend that is willing to take them in, that is willing to raise them as their own. So this is all introduced in the book where, and I say, I'm sorry, you know who makes you feel safe and free and respected and good. You kids know, because children know from a teeny tiny age that they feel safe with maybe aunt, uncle, grandparent, close family friend. So we are planting that seed in their consciousness through the book through the policy and the seminar. Why wait until they're 18 years of age? Because I have to say, Catryn, it's too late.
Yeah.
It is too late to wait until they're 18 because they will resort to drugs, alcohol, gang related activity, cutting.
Well, because it's already
Um,
formed those patterns, and that's kind of how the generational trauma continues,
exactly.
is through that process. So what you're doing is really such a great service. So if someone is interested in learning more about OssoSafe, where should they go?
Well, our website is ossosafe.com. We are on all the major social media platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Um, the two platforms that are specifically for kids, and we speak openly about abuse, if they are of dating age, what are the warning signs? What constitutes a green light, meaning, wow, this person that you're dating is good, keep going. But a red flag is no, 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 that's a warning sign. You have to break up. Uh, it's the OssoSafe Kids that we are introducing in YouTube and TikTok.
Mm.
And we speak openly about abuse, safety, respect, um, making them aware of wow, if dad and mom are behaving this way, this is not what you should do in your own relationship. You want to break the cycle. So those platforms. Oh, and the children's book is on Amazon. I've seen it on quite a number, which makes me so happy. A number of book websites, Barnes and Nobles, I believe online, elsewhere. So that I hope I answered the question. That those would be the best places to find us.
Absolutely. This has been so great, Sabrina. Thank you so much for, taking this on and carrying this torch to help others, to save them from the pain that you experienced growing up. So thank you for taking that pain and transforming it into power. Our mess is our message, as the saying goes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the platform.
And to the listeners, thank you so much for being here. I know this was a bit of a heavier episode, but one that's important and needs to be talked about so that we can be aware of maybe some of the things that have happened in our own homes. Maybe that didn't feel good because there was a reason behind it. And now you have a little bit more information and you know what to do with it. Reach out to Sabrina. So make sure that you like this episode, share it with others who will find value from it as well, and subscribe so that you don't miss any other interviews. Until next time, everyone, take care.